Gary Ray Bowles. The last high-profile serial killer to be executed in the USA was Gary Ray Bowles, a.k.a. the 195 killer. Bowles had turned to prostitution as a teenager following a traumatic childhood. He'd been in jail twice but embarked on a killing spree after he was released in 1994, during which he murdered 6 men. Ray Bowles spent over 20 years on death row in Florida State Prison before his lethal injection in August 2019, but only after a final meal of 3 cheeseburgers and a side of French fries. Aileen Wuornos. Aileen Wuornos is the 10th female serial killer in U.S. history to have been executed, yet she's arguably the most notorious. In Florida State Prison in 2002, after refusing her last meal in favor of a final cup of coffee, her lethal injection went ahead without any problems, a direct contrast to the rest of her unimaginably tortured life. Wuornos murdered 7 men while working as a prostitute, but claims to have acted in self-defense. However, this allegation is undermined by the fact that all her victims, except for one, were shot multiple times at point-blank range. Gas Chamber Special. Harvey Glattman's self-penned Gas Chamber Special in 1959 is only one half of his final gastronomic story. Glattman, an auto-asphyxiated, obsessed strangler who robbed 3 young women of their futures, ate shrimp cocktail, rare T-bone steak, French fries, banana split, and a soda for his supper. On the morning of his execution, he also polished off eggs, bacon, toast, jam, orange juice, and coffee for breakfast. A couple of hours later, he was no more. For the record, regarding the other 2 serial killers that were gassed in the USA, there are no immediate records to determine what vendor Lee Duncan had for his final meal in 1959, if anything at all. David Edwin Mason refused his last meal in 1993, but requested that he and his family, having been granted permission to spend their last day with him, dine on regular prison food. The Hobo Killer. Lloyd Gomez. Dubbed the Phantom Hobo Killer, Gomez was also the most fecund in terms of his victims, having robbed and killed 9 homeless men in the space of about a year. His last meal, eaten in 1953, of fried chicken, fried potatoes, peas, tomato and lettuce salad, toast, apple pie, and coffee, is one of the most substantial in this video. H. Holmes. H. Holmes is widely regarded as America's first serial killer and was executed on the 7th of May, 1896. However, his serial killer label is in some dispute as he was only convicted of 1 murder. Separating fact from fiction when it comes to H. Holmes is problematic because no one knows how many people he murdered. Initially, Holmes claimed to have murdered 27, but some of them were actually found alive and well. After a breakfast of eggs, toast, and coffee, he confessed to only 2 murders and was dropped beneath the gallows. John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy has 33 victims to his name. Only Bundy outnumbers this figure at officially 35, although this tally could actually be much higher. On the 10th of May, 1994, Gacy's time ran out in Stateville Correctional Center, Illinois. After a final meal of KFC fried chicken, French fries, fried prawns, and fresh strawberries, Gacy was loaded onto the execution gurney, strapped down, and had the intravenous line inserted into his right arm, and he was no more. Joseph Mitchell Parsons. Joseph Parsons was executed in 1999 after he hitched a ride with a man named Richard Ernest, who he later murdered. For his last meal, Parsons was joined by his brother and his cousin. Together, they shared a meal of Burger King Whoppers, fries, chocolate shakes, chocolate chip ice cream, and a packet of grape Hubba Bubba bubble gum. At the time, his lawyer said Parsons chose a Burger King meal because of their slogan, "Have it your way," which he believed was symbolic of Parsons taking control of his own life. Ronnie Lee Gardner. Ronnie Gardner was sentenced to death after he killed 2 men. The first during a robbery and the second whilst attempting to escape from a courthouse. In the 36 hours before his execution, Gardner avoided food and only drank liquids. It seems he was making room for his final meal, a feast of steak, lobster tail, apple pie, vanilla ice cream, and 7-Up.